Hey everybody, how's it going? So, as we are in episode 9, you know the drill by now. This is Planet Coaster and a British park which rose to fame in the 90s and noughties. Now, last time we added in the original star of the park, it was the Log Flume, and this week we are going to continue the development of the area by adding in a mine train, which has seemingly, you know, run away. Let's go. It's a mine train coaster, just in case you needed any kind of clarity on the matter. And it didn't feel like any kind of western area that contains a log flume would be complete without some sort of a mine train coaster. And of course, there are many versions of the concept out there. There's Big Thunder Mountain, and there's the imaginatively named Runaway Mine Train at Alton Towers. But there's just one manufacturer who always seems to get left out amongst all of these other rides, and that's Vekoma. Their mine train coasters are amazing. They are basically just the corkscrew coaster track with a mine train themed train slapped on the top, and it works absolutely perfectly. So you won't be surprised to know that the inspiration for this one is Mammut at Gardaland. In game, I've taken the arrow looping coaster and swapped out the trains for the mine trains. So it does create a few design things that you do have to be aware of. Like, for example, the length of the track means that sticking over short hills doesn't really like that. It doesn't enjoy it very much. So the coaster friction has been put right down to 0.6, and now they actually ride quite correctly. These coasters are not tall. You don't tend to find them very tall. They don't have to be very tall, and they are supposed to be relatively compact, and you're not going to be throwing them through inversions and long drops. These are all about the twists and the turns. If your track is level and straight, you're doing something wrong on a mine train coaster, because it's supposed to feel like the train has, you know, run away. that's how it is. This one's 2 lift hills. I'll talk you through the layout and everything in a minute. The 2 lift hills, I have separated them. Sometimes you find them together. And of course, Mammut is 3 lift hills, and they are pretty much all together. So this is how we are sitting then in the actual area. So of course, we wanted this to be raised up, and I then wanted the queue to continue up the hill. I'll show you that in a moment, but this is the station. We come around the first initial bend and up the first lift hill. Again, it's not a tall lift hill. I think it's like 20 meters, if that. And then it comes down into this first dip and then into the first drop. Now, the reason that you do this dip and this drop is because you want to control the speed that the train is leaving the lift hill. So if it continued this drop down here, because of the length of the train, it would accelerate away, and it causes some stress to the motor. So this dip here just sort of controls the speed a little bit without having to have it level or having brakes or something. And then it comes into the first turn dive, and then it just turns around back on itself. As I said, if your train is actually level, you're not doing something right. And then it comes into a bit of a dip, a hill, and a turnaround here, and then it comes into a turnaround and into a more turnaround. So it's basically snaking its way down the hill. It doesn't need to do much more than that for the first part of this coaster. I mean, this is a coaster of 2 halves, and it's just snaking its way down to the second lift hill with quite a few bunny hops and quite a few hills going on in the meantime. Now, there is a really, really awesome close call with the log flume. So this is the close call with the log flume that you get. Love it. I need to find a way of making it make sense, of course, but I love how that is turning out. And then we come to the second part, so the second lift hill. This one is a slightly taller lift hill because we've got a bit more of the hill to work with, so we are able to do a bit more of a drop. And it comes around into this turn, and then comes down into another drop. So this is only a 45-degree drop. It's not steep by any stretch of the imagination. But again, exactly the same principle with the top of the lift hill. You want to level it out and have it straight, so it allows the rest of the train to clear the top of the lift hill before it then enters any kind of track maneuver. So this one's comes around the corner, banked this way, and then comes into the drop just to get some speed into an overbanked turn that comes up through here, and then into a bit of a bunny hop. Now, the bunny hop is there so it can go over the top of the lift hill. This coaster can get really close to itself, and because they don't tend to travel more than 40 mile an hour in most spots, I mean, 40 mile an hour is pretty much your peak. You rarely want to make it go above that. This one does. Around here, I think it's 45, and around here it's 41, but it doesn't travel often above 40 mile an hour because they're kids coasters, right? So, yeah, this bunny hop means that you can get really close to the lift hill, and then it comes down into this dive, into the turnaround, and then it comes into a bit of a snake pass. So it's almost unbanked, but it's exactly what you would find on Colorado Adventure at Phantasialand. comes into this unbanked goodness, and then round by the waterfall for the actual log flume itself. Here we go, around that way. And then it comes over the lake. So I always had this in mind, right? I always left a gap here for the train to come underneath the log flume. I wanted it to interact with the log flume as much as possible, but as safely and from a distance as possible. So this is what we're doing here. We're going to come around this way, and then we just turn around into... oh, that looks... Don't look where I'm pointing. If you know my mind, you know what I'm thinking. So we're going to come around this way into one final bunny hop, and then final turnaround into the brake run. And again, it interacts with the log flume underneath here. So I have also put the maintenance area down this way. So you saw in the last episode, I didn't finish this maintenance area, and this was the reason why. I needed to bring the track of this one down here. And so this is the maintenance area. And then because I didn't know where the layout of the track, the actual track of this one was going to be, I didn't know what access I was going to have. So now I know I've got access down here. I can start kitting out this area as a maintenance area. And then the queue line itself, I haven't gone for cattle pen as such. I've actually taken a bit of inspiration from Nemesis, and I wanted it to go up the hill and then have it going out and back. It's a queue that could contain quite a few hours of people, but you can also shut it off at certain points as well. So if I wanted to shut it off here, I could, or I could shut it off, say, here or here, or have the extended, or it could come around this way and then into the station. In fact, Galactica, or Air as you may know it, which way, I don't know which you're fond of, also does the same. It goes up the hill and back. It's just one massive out and back queue, and I love it. So this is the area then. I did in the last episode just change the way that this ramp was. It was coming out this way, but then I needed to have access to this area here, so I've actually ended up wrapping it around on itself. And what that does do is it means I can put ride photos in here, and that actually makes a bit more sense than the original configuration that I had. So this is how it's looking from the top. I will see you in a minute because there will be some more stuff done. Alright then, you guys, because I know how pedantic you can be when I talk about you doing something wrong if the train is banked. I don't mean the lift hills, the stations, and the brake runs. Stop taking everything so literally. Anyway, B&M invert names for next week, please. Comments below. Off you go. So, this is the area that we've got, and I love how this is coming together. I also love that this is a relatively small area to configure, because a lot of the stuff was already done with the log flume, right? So we are just dealing with this in terms of guest area, and then this in terms of the ride area. Now, please manage your expectations. We are not talking Big Thunder Mountain. We are not talking Mammut level of theming, and we're definitely not talking Grosvenor Gardens. When I said in Grosvenor Gardens that it was going to be a minimal thing, and it ended up being a big thing, no, this time I mean it's minimal. So let's have a look. Then we're going to start down here at the station. Now, you have seen this station design before. It's almost identical to the one that I used in Chachalandia on the RMC, and that's because I need to turn this episode around quite quickly for reasons you already know, and because I really like the design, and I thought, sod it, I'm just going to put it back in. So this is what we're going for here. It's like the perfect station for this sightline. I've just reconfigured how the pathing and everything works, and of course I need to do the Theme Maker's Toolkit passes and stuff in here. So I just need to put all of the signage up and the push points and all of that sort of stuff. You know the drill by now. It just needs its station stuff. But I like this station. It was like one of the best stations that I ever did, and because it was a collaboration with somebody else, it was the best station we ever did. So anyway, moving on to the ride area, or the queue area, should I say. The queue now has fences. I like how this is turning out. It's just so beautifully disgusting, right? It's just, can you imagine being in this part of the queue thinking, oh yeah, we're nearly there. No, it's a fake out because you've got all of this to go. Yeah, no thanks. And yeah, so I've just started to get the feel for how this area wanted to be. I did want this to be this full line steps, and this is how it is from the guest view. Now, originally, in my head, I had the entrance being here, and then the queue line coming up this way. But actually, I think this works better. This feels better. And I'm going to have to put, like, signs and stuff in here, and then, yeah, you've got the stairs that go up here, and then the lift hill that goes this way. So actually, I like this probably better than I had originally planned. The queue line itself, then, I'm still using this whole tactic of mulch and whatever along here just to hide it all off. I need to do some work with the terrain and just to sort all of that out, but this is feeling how I wanted it to. So the actual ride area itself, nothing says cheap and nasty theming like theming you've already seen somewhere else in the park. So yeah, of course we've got the Indiana Jones clone over on the other side of the park, and that's also mine themed. So now, in case you're wondering, let's address that elephant in the room. So remember at the very beginning of episode 1 when I was talking about the one of the design influences of this park being DollyWood? Well, of course, DollyWood is Western the entire way through, and you're going to find things that are common throughout. It's this kind of principle. This is something that would have been put in because that is the overarching theme of this entire park, is that whole Western infused stuff. So yes, you've got lots of oil rigs and that sort of stuff. Let's just say the other one's a coal mine and this is oil. There you go. It's a different theme. It counts. So anyway, what I've started to do is put some of these covers in. I realised that I don't actually have anywhere to have a tunnel. So, I mean, I could have here, but then I wanted queue interaction and stuff. I think this is, the only place I could have had a tunnel. So what I started to do is just this idea of head chopper-y type platforms. So this is the first one here. This is one of many. They're all identical to each other, and that's because a mine would use very similar equipment and stuff. So there's a head chopper thing here, and then coming around this way there's another head chopper one here, and then that lasts all the way through to this bit here. So I wanted there to be a bit of a run. I've used the same stuff as I did on the Log Flume, by the way. That's why you're probably thinking that you've seen this before, and that's because it just needs to feel consistent with the whole area. So no real reason why I've covered off this area other than it's the it's the longest, straightest bit of track that I've got, so it's fine. It works. And then underneath here, we've got another head chopper bit. These are just like the mine shafts and stuff that you've got. This would be like the mine entrance and whatever. Coming over this way then, I've got another head chopper in the form of rocks down here. There we go, head chopper through here. And I've also put another one along here. I've extended the platform down this way because it's on the side of a hill, right? So that feels like that's how that would be. But again, it's a head chopper. I have put a pond in here. This area needed to have an overflow for the pond up at the top here. So if there was ever too much water in it, then would need to be some kind of an emergency release or an emergency pond. That's this area. That's it. This area here. So of course, it would always have water in it. But it's just got differing levels and stuff, so we've just put some pipes and whatever in here. And then underneath the Log Flume over this way, another head chopper moment. There we go. Again, I didn't want it to be too elaborate, but I did want it to be protected from the Log Flume underneath, just in case someone is an idiot and decides to throw something over the boat into the train below. This is at least going to stop them. So in this area then I've started the idea of the maintenance area. The maintenance area doesn't need to be intense for this train. They are really, really easy to service. They're actually quite light as well, so you'd be able to get a crane inside here and then roll it off the back of the track. You'd collapse the train in here, store the train along here, right? And then you'd bring the next one in and just do the same. So I have actually ended up making this slightly shorter. This did come out this way, but actually when I thought about fencing it off and whatever, it started to interact with this hill. And I mean, this is also even now probably a little bit too close, but it's fine. It does what it needs to do. I'm happy with this. Need to do some foliage and some stuff along here as well, right? So this is a bit of a dead space. I don't think it's going to be themed. I mean, have a look at the mine train coasters that are out there, particularly the one that's in China. It's really, really minimally themed. There's not a lot of stuff going on mid-course. It's just all about the experience and all about the twists and the turns and stuff. And then, of course, we've got the final break run. I need to put all of the usual Theme Makers Toolkit clutter and stuff on here. That's going to be around on there. And these are the sight lines. I mean, I'm liking how this is coming together into this entire area. So, of course, you've got the Log Flume. By the way, look at that. Whilst we're here, let's just appreciate the rest of the park. There we go. So, yeah, I'm loving how the sight lines are starting to come together here. You've got the brake run that's coming through this way. And then if you carry on walking through here, you've got the station that's living up on the top of the hill. And then you've just got some some of the theming that's just poking through and all that sort of stuff. I think it's just broken down because we've got smoke coming out of here. That's not part of the theming. It's not part of the decoration. But from this area, you've got the lift hill, and you've got the stuff going on here. You've got the view of the station, and of course, at the moment, we just have the construction fences up. So when these are down, this area is really, really going to start to open up. And then over this way, this is how this area is going to look. So you have, let's just go down to peak level. Come on. There we go. So you've got the log flume and stuff here, and the coaster itself is relatively hidden until you get to this point, and then suddenly it just appears. And I like how exposed this is. I don't think I want to put trees along here. I like how this is rather exposed. So that's going to be how that's going to go. Okay, guys. So I think that's everything that I need to show you for this one. I reckon we just get it done, right? See you in a minute. Oh, forgive me for gushing over my own work, but this has come together so perfectly and so quickly. I'm proper chuffed with how this has turned out. It's just come to life, like as it always does, but it's just flowing through the trees, and suddenly this lack of theming doesn't actually matter anymore. And look, this is the view. The view. Look. Yes, that's what I wanted from this area. I mean, I always had these visions that the lift hill would go up over the hill and you'd have the queue line and stuff going up the hill. A little bit like Nemesis at Alton Towers does, but this has just turned out perfectly. I'm proper chuffed. I know you're probably just thinking, it's just a view. It's all right. It'll do. But guys, this is a lot of planning that went into this one because I wanted to play with the hill as much as possible, and it's been in the making since the drop of the log flume. So I'm just going to take a moment to actually go, yes, pat on the back. This is a good one. By the way, no name for this one yet. So the name for this one and the invert coaster will be in the episode after the invert coaster. For reasons that you guys already know, these episodes are not going to come out in sequence. So they will be put to the vote and the usual stuff, but obviously we can't do that in sequence. So here is the station then, and this station is just beautiful. ThemeMaker's Toolkit Pass has been done on it, so it's all the usual stuff. This here, by the way, as you can see, it's just the draw distance of the wood. It is all there. You saw this over on the other wooden coaster station, but it's so nice that I get to use this station again. Like, it's just a beautiful station. I used it in Chatterlandia, and as I said in the previous update, it's a collaboration piece that I did with somebody else, and I just love it, and it felt like it needed to be something identical, but enough has changed in this to be something new, but it's familiar enough for you to go, yeah, actually this is cool. You'll hear music, by the way. I didn't put music in the Log Flume episode because I wanted area music rather than individual ride music, and I didn't know what to choose, so we now have music. So having a look at the ride area then, of course this is all now kitted out with stuff. I decided to keep this looking a bit rubbish. I sort of felt like the park needed areas where it needed to feel a bit rubbish. So that's what I've done here. I've kept it with exposed dirt, exposed grass. I will come along and tidy up this terrain, but there's stuff that's coming that this train is probably going to change, so I've just decided to leave it as it is for now and just be done with it. So as it's weaving its way through the trees, you now get some pretty decent near misses with trees and rocks and bits of theming and stuff that I put in. So this is now looking so cool. And if we go inside here, this is how it looks from inside here. Lots of clutter on the catwalk and all of that sort of stuff. Oh, yes, I love it. By the way, didn't mention this before, but the in-game supports for this coaster are okay. I just didn't want to overdo it and start doing custom supporting where it's not really needed. Sometimes you just need to recognize that good is good enough. And having a look at the Vekoma Mine Trains over in China and stuff, it's very similarly supported and stuff. So do you know what? Just leave it as it is and just have a day off. One thing I have done though, I have put the support sticking out of the water. I've not done this over on the wing coaster yet because I still need to put the boat ride in and the support positioning may change. But these are not going to change. So I've put the supports that stick out of the water. And that's because you wouldn't necessarily immerse the metal and the steel inside the water itself because it would rust and corrode. So you put the concrete up above the water line so that you can save them. I have also done that here as well. So there they are going along here. I mean, it's arguable this is probably needing to be a V support, but I'm just not doing it, guys. deal with it. So this area I've cluttered out. I didn't want it to be too cluttered, but it's just about invisible enough from the brake run and stuff for it to remain cluttered. So it is done, and it's what it is. And this area, I didn't really want to put much theming around it. It felt like it needed to be left a little bit janky, but it's all good. By the way, just in case you're wondering, this profiling is actually based on something that's real. You don't really get many forces here because you're killing quite a bit of speed, but you do have forces down here, so you bank it more here than you do here, but you would not continue necessarily the banking down this bit. So if you have a look here, it levels out and then it rebanks, and that's just to do with the distribution of the G-forces and stuff on the riders, and allow you to right yourself before going into the final turn. So boring stuff that I probably should have told you a lot sooner than now. So this is now how it's looking from the Golden Eagle, or whatever we're calling it. Which one is it? The Rising Raptor or the Golden Eagle? I can never remember which one's which. But this is how it's looking from the background anyway. It's just peeking through the trees. You've got the brake run that's here. You've got the Log Flume that's in front. You've got the Rising Raptor, Golden Eagle, whatever it is, here. And then it's just all through the trees. I just love how this is just so deep. It's just got a lot of depth to the sightline. The station sits quite nicely on the area too. It's just like, it's there. It's not too domineering, but it's not too dominant in the area, but it's also there enough for you to go, yeah, it's there. There's no gift shop in this area, by the way, and that's by design. I'm going to put something in later on elsewhere. I need to work on either side of the area, right? So it's kind of what we're going for. It's what we're going for here. And yeah, the raised pathway, I do this a lot, right? So you're familiar with how I do this by now. This one is not functional. The ramp is, and this side obviously is, but it's not perfect. As you can see that they are literally walking through the steps, but sometimes you just need to have that trade-off because it just makes it worth it. Particularly as you get sight lines like this, where you get I'm back here again, sorry, I just needed to have another look. You get sight lines of this, especially that coaster train going by as well. It plays with the terrain perfectly. If you think that the high point of the whole terrain is sort of here, and it falls back down this way, and it falls back down this way, you don't notice it because it's really quite grown up. Wanted this area to be quite forested. I wanted it to sort of like have this barrier. It's done by design, and then these trees obviously then help to create that further barrier, but with peaks through, so you can still see the mine train and stuff going on in the background. Queue line down this way then. Oh, look at it. It's just like split level beautifulness. I love it. So good. Oh, yes. And then the actual entrance to the area, I've just tarted this up a little bit just to give it the love and care that is needed. So I have put don't die fencing and stuff down to a certain degree, but because I still need to develop the stuff that's all along here, I haven't continued the fence just yet, and you'll see why in future episodes. Yeah, so this is the entrance area forming shape, and this is what I was talking about earlier on with it opening up. So this is why I decided to keep the Wilderview Falls entrance in this area, because it splits off into three directions. You either go into the Log Flume, straight on towards what will be the future developments, or up to the Mine Train coaster. So it splits enough. It feels like this is now right. Even though we could have put the entrance in here, but I think that this flows better to me personally anyway. So yes, right, let's talk about the future slightly. Let's do some spoilers. Oh, actually, before I do, I completely did this earlier on, and I mentioned it in passing as if you guys know how to do this. So just in case you don't know how to do this, swapping the trains out, forgive me for taking so long to tell you. If you put down your ride and you go to customize, and then you may have this option here to select car to spawn. It's not available to all coasters. It's not available to every type of coaster, and you can't swap out every train on every track. There is a mod that does that, but we don't talk about that here. So yes, and you may need to go into your game options and allow more train swapping. There's an extra option. So you've got like a base amount that you can swap, but there's an additional option that's experimental, inverted commas experimental, because the game's been finished developing by now, but experimental, to allow you to swap more out. So Yes. Right, let's talk spoilers very, very, very quickly. So this is the park from the top. So I'm telling you, spoilers. We are going to have an Intamin launch coaster, and I'm thinking at the moment that that's going to be in this kind of area here. I don't know the layout. I've not done anything there in that space yet. We are going to have a B&M invert. That's the next. Episode. So that's going to be in this kind of position here. I am not going to bring a path round this way for reasons that you'll see in the future. We need to start thinking about how we're bringing ourselves up into the cable car area on the top here, where there's going to be another coaster. Don't know what that is yet. We're going to have something big, which those of you that have looked at the leaked park file will already know what that is. That'll be in this area, and that will answer the gap here. We've got another B&M coming in this kind of area. Again, the leaked file tells you everything there is to know about that. Not even sorry. That's like a placeholder that was put in here. There is going to be another coaster in this area. This is going to be the star of the park. This is the finale episode. This is the big one. This is the holy crap episode. I hope so anyway. I might do something controversial, and I don't think I need this extra lake, but I do need car park. So I may end up doing something controversial in this area and not having a lake here, so I can put car park in. Because it feels like the park is going to need to be quite nicely contained. And lastly, when we were talking about this area and not really having a purpose, and it's sort of feeling like it was a bit of a dead space, if you can guess what my thoughts are for this area, which, by the way, if you haven't watched the previous episode, this is the old entrance area. This is where the turnstiles and tickets and stuff would have been. I just haven't put the ruins and the remnants and stuff in there yet. But if you can guess what I'm thinking on this lake, I'll put it to the vote as to whether we should do it as an episode. So comments below. But this is the park. This is Wilderview Mews. So far, loving it, guys. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the episode. Really do appreciate it. Like and comment and all that usual gubbins if you are still with me. I mean, 33% of you get here, so there we go. That'll do. I'll take it. Guys, till we speak again, please look after yourselves. Have a good week, and I will speak to you soon. Let's go for a ride on the coaster. See you later. Bye-bye.